The Ministry of Finance last week released the financial or fiscal report of January to April. That's a fiscal performance report, yes. During the recently concluded public presentation on the 2023 to 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, speaking on the draft 2023 to 2025 MTEF and FSP, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, explains that the document was prepared against the backdrop of continuing global challenges occasioned by lingering COVID-19 pandemic, and of course, the effects of this pandemic, as well as higher food and fuel prices due to the war in Ukraine. In the MTEF, real GDP growth is projected to 3.75% in 2023 from a revised projection of 3.55% for 2022. And growth is expected to moderate to 3.3% in 2024 before picking up to 3.4% in 2025. Joining me live from our Abuja studios to look at the key fundamentals in the MTEF fiscal strategy paper is a professor of accounting at Now University of Nigeria, Professor Ofili Ugotioha. Thank you so much, Prof. It's good to have you on the show.
Yeah. Hello. How are you?
Very well, Prof. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, Prof, let's go straight to the discussion. After the presentation last week by the minister, there has been reactions to that document. And one of it is the misrepresentation or misunderstanding of if Nigeria is broke or not. So for you, what would you say with regards to this document about our fiscal performance at this time?
Yeah, thank you very much. We are here again on this very topical issue. If you can remember what I said about the budget in the past, budget is an estimate of income and expenditure and organization. I also say as a of variation, that variation in budget cannot be more than 5 to 10%. And budget being an estimate, can look at what happened in the 2022 budget, first quarter. At the end of that budget, which is what is likely to drive realization of the budget. Our production, oil production, was projected to be 1.6 barrel per day. But we were producing at 1.32. So that the crude oil price for that year was budgeted at $73 per barrel. But you saw that they are selling at above 100. Officially, they say it's 103. But there was a time we were selling at almost 130. Then you come to inflation. Inflation was projected at 13%. But you know, as of today, that inflation is around 18.6. That was for me. Somebody is telling me that the inflation in Nigeria is 0.6. Be able to explain to me, arrive at 18%. Because we know that the inflation in Nigeria today computed well more than 20. Then that all also 4.20. And the actual growth 3.11. I have some problem. Nigerian planning, and because Nigerians, and this is the only country where you see a lawyer being a minister of budget, where you see a lawyer being a minister of the key infrastructure, which is an engineering issue, which is almost 90% driven by engineering. Then you see a lawyer being a minister. And all these things are what make it difficult for us to get the actual indices that will enable us to work. Because if you don't have somebody who has a knowledge, a basic, at least a basic knowledge of the system, whatever he's seeing is just a guesswork. So if you look at last year's budget, you see that there was no single item of the budget that came near to the reality. Because after preparing a budget, which is an estimate, you have to compare it with the actual performance. Budget is usually a guide to the performance. But in our own country, budget means nothing. It's just to put down figures for Nigerians to see that this is what we have. Then, looking at that budget of last year, you could also see that up to the first quarter, for around 4.7 trillion have been expended out of the 17 trillion or 17.3 trillion budgeted. But where we have that 4.7 trillion expended, you could only see that the cost of governance took 4 trillion out of 4.7. The cost of governance simply means the recurrent expenditure. The recurrent aspect of that budget is 4 trillion. But the capital aspect of that budget is 7.7. And I always tell Nigeria, try to know the meaning of recurrent aspect of the budget and the capital aspect of the budget. Because the budget belongs to you. That budget belongs to you because the money being used is your money. It's not the money that belongs to the people who are administering it. They are just administrators. If an economy should perform well, why should you use 700 million for services for the first quarter and use 4 trillion for yourself? Because Nigerians should be able to know that recurrent expenses is cost of governance. So this is where we are having problem. And you look at the medium-term expenses prepared in the past, it is always 40. It never got in line with the budget. And apart from the fact that it never got in line with the budget itself never got close to the actual performance. So I don't know why we are just preparing figures every year and trying to defend it. Looking at the medium term of 2023 to 2025, I could see the incremental process of every year we shall spend 20 billion, 2023. In 2024, we shall spend 22 trillion. 2024 or 25, we shall spend 24 or 25 trillion. Just continue increasing figure without telling people how you are going to realize this your projected increase. If you look at what they have projected for next year, there is an increase in the revenue generation, which is an assumption. The revenue generation for this year, according to them, was supposed to be 8 trillion. The one of next year is now going to be around 9 trillion. And it continues increasing like that. Why? Did you realize the one of last year? No. Did you realize the one of this year? No. If this doesn't work for you, why do we continue with incremental budget? And this is why I say that people who drive the budget or who prepare the budget don't have the actual foundation of accounting and finance. Because budget involves planning and it involves cost of operation. And if you take this action, this is what it will cost you. If you take the other action, this is what it will cost you.
Prof,
And by the
can
time
you
you put
hear me,
all these
Prof?
things together, you come out with your actual proposed expenses.
Prof,
The same
can you
thing
hear me?
with your revenue.
I doubt if
If
Prof
your
can hear me.
revenue
But Prof,
is
hold
you
on.
did not meet up the
Let
revenue
me
for last
ask
year.
you a follow-up
How do you
question,
think you will
Prof.
meet up the revenue for this year and next year?
I guess Prof is not hearing me.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good. Prof, let me follow up. I now I've seen got to really understand your submission, holistic one, I must say. But let's look at some of these major issues affecting government reality at this time. Is the inability to get enough revenue from crude oil, which still remains our mainstay, one way or the other. We cannot shift away from that. And the other thing, other issues that have to do with revenue generation and subsidy that continues to stay on the high side. We're looking at about 6.7 trillion naira for just that. What's your reaction to these issues?
Okay. Thank you very much once again. On the issue of revenue, I've seen in their conclusion for the projection of medium term, I've seen a part of their conclusion that they should evolve more ways of generating taxes. It is just an assumption. I tell you, I've always said something about taxes that government don't even listen. I'm a tax consultant. I know what we see when we go into the field. You cannot tax a dead man. A man who cannot feed. He cannot feed his family. You tell him, this money you don't have, go and find it anywhere and give it to me. It's not possible. Companies are dying. Human beings are dying because of hunger and a lot of problems that are here. I've not seen government saying this is what we are going to do to increase production. Because if you don't increase production, you cannot increase taxation. That is just the truth. Let us not deceive ourselves. I expected at that conclusion when you said you have told us all the problem, the pandemic, the this and that, they remain very silent on the major security issues, the issue of security that make people not go into farm, and if there's no agriculture, there will be no productivity even in the industry, because it is agriculture that gives us all things we use in manufacturing. In every country, it is agriculture that feeds industry. Our own country cannot be different. Nobody said anything about how to revamp agriculture, how to make our agricultural environment very safe for people to farm. Nigerians are ready to farm, even with the hoes and machetes, even when government cannot provide loans or loans for us to get agricultural equipment that can make us go into commercial agriculture. Nigerians are ready to go with even hoes and machetes to go and farm, but they cannot, because by the time you tempt it to go there, they either kill you or rape your wife or rape your children. And because of this, people don't farm. And if you don't produce, how do you get taxed? How do you get industries to run? They remain silent here. They remain silent on security. They remain silent on the power generation. Because if there's no power generation, how do you increase tax? How can people manufacture? If the man manufactures any product in Nigeria, it will be more costly than the one produced in Ghana. So people would like to bring in from Ghana and sell rather than buying the more costly one here. They refuse to go to the fundamental, because if you make this type of projection, at your conclusion, you should x-ray the problem you are having and also the ways you are going to solve them. Nobody says anything about solution to the current problems we have, but you're expecting to have more revenue next year.
Prof, let's wrap up on the note.
I don't want to talk.
Yes, Prof, let's wrap up on the note of identifying major solutions to some of these problems. Let's identify these solutions and wrap up this discussion. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. The solutions are basic. These are things we continue saying, we continue giving our solutions, even whenever we go on conferences, whenever we go on seminar, whenever we go on symposium. And the essence of a seminar or workshop is that professional bodies or those who know about particular issue come out with the challenges and the solutions to them, and communicate from such meetings or forum or seminars are given to government. But Nigerian government, if you are having an international conference or national conference and invite them, they will not even come. Even when they come and you give them the solutions and the paper that came out from the workshop, they will not work with it. Like I said, the solutions here are fundamental. The basic thing is that Nigeria should go into the farm and farm. That the government should provide enabling environment to farmers to farm. Another one is that Nigeria should focus on insecurity, clearing the insecure environment that we have, because people cannot invest. The so-called investment that they are saying is not actually investment. It's the remittance, foreign remittance from Nigerians who are working abroad and bringing their money home to feed their families, and they put one thing or the other in their home. It's not investment. All the expatriates that invested in Nigeria have run away to neighboring countries. If there's no investment climate, a good investment climate, they will not be there. Then another solution is power. Very simple thing to know, to understand, that without power, you cannot produce efficiently and effectively. Because what it takes you to run a company or a factory for 24 hours, it cannot be run with a generator, because
Indeed.
generator costs you almost 25% of your total cost.
Yeah.
If you are running generator 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And manufacturing companies run 24 hours a day.
Yes,
Every economy, in every part of the world run 24 hours a day. It is only in Nigeria that we run 8 hours per day.
Mm.
And after 8 hours per day, you are on your own.
Yes.
There will be no light. Insecurity will come. Armed robbers will come. Kidnappers will come. So,
indeed,
as far
these
as
are
Nigeria
really worrisome issues, Prof.
running their
I must
economy on
agree
8
with
hours
you.
per day,
But
solutions can never be found.
yes, yes, Prof. I think we need to have a part 2 of this discussion where we'll stay basically on these solutions, identify them, and try to expatiate on each and every of the points. But for today, I must tell you, it's been an interesting and educating conversation with you as usual. I've been speaking to the professor of accounting at now University of Nigeria, Professor Ofili Ugadioha. There's never enough time to talk on television, but we would always have you join us again. Thank you, Prof, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.